it's third lowest dragon percentage. All of these things where it's when it finally comes down to the major objectives that they are fighting for, they are failing. And in fact, the replays that we always go back to was the last time LGD went up against Rainbow7 that put them here to begin with. And so Here we go. Champions select both these teams. This is that revenge moment for LGD.
Let's do it. Remember, the best of fives that y'all at home are going to see played today don't actually send anyone to that main group stage just yet. This is a new format. I know a lot of people still don't have it fully understood. I didn't until today either. But hey, the way this is going down is whoever wins here today will then move forward and play Legacy eSports tomorrow. The winner of that will proceed to be one of the last two teams to qualify for the main Worlds group stage, but you're going to have to go through two opponents to get it. That first opponent is in front of them here and now. Lucian, Nidalee, and Shen all band away.
And Lily has been the champion that teams have started to take a step back away from, right? Because she is a champion that requires consistent setup. Like, if she ever messes up and falls behind, she just outright looks bad and can get blown up by a lot of the beefier champions in the enemy team. So, as you've seen in play-ins, you might not just see the pick happen. It really depends. For me, at the very least, I think that you should still go towards what you feel is the best champion and the best comp that you've been successful on in the playoff stages, when I'm talking about domestically, in game one. At least give yourself the opportunity, and if it doesn't work out, then you can go straight towards the simplistic champions. And you can already see what the bans have looked like for LGD. Shen and Ornn.
Yep.
Get these beefs out of here.
Get the meatballs gone. They are going for some vegetarian comps. Get all the meat, make it go yeet. Lily is banned out. Even though you're talking about the champion not having the most success so far, they don't want to risk it here. That is understandable. Ornn is that champion after seeing his performance in play-ins so far. Champion always comes back. He's so damn good. You get so much value out of the passive. His team fight power is just unmatched unless they have Braum or Yasuo. Not surprised to see him hitting the ban list. I think we'll see a lot more of that as we go through these knockout stages here. But the first pick of the entire draft will actually be Graves for the side of Rainbow7.
Yeah, and so far I would say this is a great first round of things for Rainbow7 because they did ban out Nidalee, which is a really tricky matchup for Graves. That being said, Kindred is an option. Kindred is still in the straight 1v1 early. Graves is favored, but Twisted Fate can always turn things on a dime. In fact, when Twisted Fate's either tag teamed with the Kha'Zix or anything to that nature, it becomes really dangerous for the jungler. So you expect Peanut and CA to be working side by side with two champions they've been really successful with this year.
For sure. Galio now locked in on the side of Rainbow7. You can see only a 25% win rate on this champion so far here at the World's play-in stage.
Oh,
but
no.
Locking it in there with Camille. The dunk bucket is ready to go.
We might see either a Mordekaiser or I like the Volibear. Yeah, this is going to be really tough to deal with. When it comes down to straightforward compositions, Camille, Galio are the poster child of that.
Oh, yeah.
Been running a few of that in my own games. I'm talking about like Academy, and I've been seeing a lot of it in playoff games. It's just so hard to deal with if you are the enemy AD carry. So Kramer has a lot to deal with here. A lot of people always talked about, you can go Ezreal or something incredibly safe, but you're kept inside that Camille ulti for a long time.
Yeah.
It's nearly a guaranteed kill. The only concern is you're going into a Kindred. So Kindred can elongate a fight. You might even see a Bard later down in the draft. I think if you have Bard, Kindred, these types of things, yeah, you have to ban it. It's like, you have to ban the Bard because it can give the enemy team a chance to counter engage.
Now, one thing that I am noticing so far, and something that's important to look for whenever there is a Kindred in the game, so far, there's no displacement on the side of Rainbow7. You got Graves, you got Galio, you got Camille. Yeah, you've got some stuns, you got a couple of knockups, but there's no Lee Sin, there's no Alistar, there's nothing that can throw someone out of the Kindred ulti, which can create an entirely new play pattern around that ultimate. And you can see here, Alistar banned out by LGD, getting rid of one of those champions that can manage to pull you out of it. Nautilus, a different champion that can also negate that. Both of them also just being engaged supports, stopping that from coming through for Rainbow7, and then picking a big engaged support themselves in the Rakan.
At the end of the day, both these teams have elected for themselves to have outright strong team fight comps.
Yes.
If I'm looking at the side of Rainbow7, the positive of having a Galio Camille is not even the idea of, you know, being able to always favor your side lane. So let's just say if a Long Xing wants to push out an extra wave and wants to contest the 1v1 versus Ase, well, no, you have a Galio in your back pocket. So that's something that you'll always have to think about. And if the dive from Volibear comes through, like TF and Volibear are exceptionally good at diving, with Rakan as well, Galio Ultimate can stop that. So it does excel at both engaging and, of course, putting the enemy team on the back foot and stopping their engage themselves. So I've always loved Camille Galio, and I think that Rainbow7 coming into this game has literally 4 champions that can start a fight.
As long as it ain't Graves, everybody else is in a solid spot here. Ashe picked up as the AD carry, and Leona in the support position. This is so scary for anybody that is vulnerable to getting jumped on, to have Leona, Camille, and Galio all go in and just dogpile on whoever that unfortunate target is, and the lock-in for the AD carry spot on LGD will be Tristana.
Tristana, interesting. I mean, has 2 ways to disengage in a fight, not only just her ultimate, but of course the jump itself. We'll need a bit of help. I like the idea that Kindred and Rakan can always be defensive mechanisms. That being said, at least early on in this game, if we're just talking about straight early game, I'm liking what I see from, I would say Rainbow7 just a little bit, at least through their bot lane. Leza and Shadow are set up to succeed with the Ashe Leona. They can shove up pretty frequently. Jose Diodo can use that bot side to at least gain an early advantage. And I think he can path towards bot side knowing that Galio Ultimate is there. So even if he's like quote unquote cut off from the fight, he can always join up. Rainbow7 has been the more aggressive team of the 2 teams. They've had more champions to kill per minute. So like, if we're talking about a team that wants to fight between the 2, LGD have been the team that's actually been taking steps back and avoiding the fight, looking towards getting slow advantages in their lane. I like what I see from Rainbow7's draft so far.
But we have to remember those stats that we're talking about with First Bloods. For LGD, who have played 5 games, 5 First Bloods in 5 games.
Yes.
Pretty good rate of getting themselves on the scoreboard. Rainbow7 only taking First Blood in a single one of their 4.
And also in all of these games, forward percentage, Long Xing has the highest forward percentage of 42%.
That's an insane forward presence in the lane.
It's incredible. He's been allowed to press up against his opponents, and a lot of the time he's just out. One game where I felt like he didn't have the matchup advantage, but he's had the other 4 where you know, he's been given the resources, the draft resources to do well in these matchups, and he's been paying off at least in the early portions of the game.
Now, we saw from Vedius the breakdown of the Drake team fight in the previous time that these 2 teams matched up, and sort of how that was the moment where Rainbow7 worked themselves back into the game and found the stability they needed to push forward and end up taking the win in that head-to-head. And for both of these teams, I think those neutral objective fights throughout the entirety of this series, Raz, are just they're gonna be so important.
Yeah.
Because Rainbow7, part of the identity of the weakness of this team is they like to fight for objectives they got no business fighting for. And what happened to LGD in a lot of their games so far in play-ins? Fighting for something they had no business fighting for. Everybody needs to go through a checklist that's got 1 item on it before they get to a neutral objective fight and say, should we be here? If the answer's hell nah, you need to go away.
Yeah, a lot of the basics have kind of fallen to the wayside. I love the segment that Vedius did earlier on about just all about LGD getting initial control of the objective, basing late, and then coming back to what is R7 getting complete control and getting Dragon and getting the fight obviously afterwards. And it all starts towards that checklist that you're referring to, which is first of all, ask each other, do you guys need to base? Who needs to base? Do that early, please. Because if no one needs to base early, then great. But if you set up all of your wards and then have to go back to base at like 30 seconds before the objective spawn, then you've already failed. So I know for sure these are the things, the first things that the coaches will be bringing up in film session. And of course, the players would have already recognized during the game. So I don't expect that to be the case coming into today's games.
This is what I love about casting with somebody who's so much smarter than me, is the fact that you bring up an actual checklist about, do we need to base? How's our ward status looking? Will we be able to have cooldowns and all these different things? And my checklist is just a meme between hell nah and yep. Because that's the two different ways of looking at the game. Coach versus Skarner player, but now the real versus we all care about is this one right here. Rainbow7 versus LGD in a best of 5. Only best of 1s have been played so far. This is the first time we're going to get to test and see these teams' adaptation capabilities, how well they can move through a multitude of games and deal with their opponent time after time after time. Keystones on your screen right now. Phase Rush on the Graves, extra mobility there. And you're going to see Summoner Spellbook for Galio, so plenty of utility options. Same thing over there for the side of Twisted Fate. Taking check of all the teleports across the map. You got them on all 4 solo laners, neither AD carry this time around. Kramer also running Cleanse on that Tristana, respecting how much CC power is on the Rainbow7 lineup.
I'm interested in the bot lane here.
Yeah.
Because Ashe Leona should have the shove. They should have, of course, the support advantage. Leona versus Rakan works pretty heavily towards Leona. She just has too much, resistances, especially if she pops her W.
Yeah.
In a fight. So that from that perspective, that's going to be there. Leza and Shadow should be confident in the 2v2. But then Mark and more importantly Kramer going towards Hail of Blaze Tristana. If you catch someone out, you can just blow them up, and it resets, of course, off E cooldown, so you can get another jump if you end up getting the full proc off your satchel. So those things are interesting to see, because then now Leza and Shadow better have strong vision towards the bot side of the map. If they ever get cheesed, or if they ever, like let's say Leza walks up to a wave when Shadow is looking to either work alongside Jose Diodo to get vision, or just place down something in the control in Tribush, then you just outright lose your lane. So
yeah, that would feel pretty bad.
So you need to watch out for that. We haven't seen a Tristana AD carry, or at least I haven't in a little bit. So it's going to be fun to watch as the lane progresses.
Both junglers have started on the top side of the map, moving towards the bottom side. Peanut went ahead, just cleared his red, and then immediately went to that bottom area. However, it was an additional wolf clear for Jose Diodo, not clearing the entire quadrant out, but just making sure he pads his pockets with a little bit of extra money. Remember, when the crabs spawn, it's a 50-50 coin toss on which one of them is going to receive the Kindred mark. Peanut will look to try to hit 4 of those marks, hopefully sooner than later. That is the pretty big point there, as now we've got an engage coming out in the bottom lane. Mark is starting things off. Flash out from Leza, getting himself away. Loses about half HP there, but quick on the summoner spells, having to use them both to get out.
That has to be something they pre-planned for, because I've seen that play multiple times. In different metas, it's a J4 jungle with a support Thresh, where you go red to bot. In this case, he did 3 camps, so it wasn't as if it was like completely cheesy. He went red, blue, Grump, and then went towards the bot side. But that means no sums for Leza.
And now Peanut getting aggressive with the invade here, recognizes that his mid laner has a massive advantage in that 1v1. Alone, half dead, over half dead on the Galio, stuck underneath the turret. There's no way he's going to be able to rotate over first, so Peanut tries to contest that chicken camp. Ends up being a smite secure from Jose Diodo. However, Peanut can now head into this bottom side river, and what is that, Raz? The coin came up heads. Kindred mark number 1 goes over to Peanut.
Fantastic. You love to see that RNG, you know?
If you're the Kindred player, if you're the Graves player, you're like, come on. But at least he's got that first one under his belt now. Peanut will, of course, look to add some more of those as we move forward. Now the damage on Leza is just too much. There's your Hail of Blades, Tristana, and there's your first blood for LGD.
We talked about it, and the early planning from LGD made it too hard for Leza and Shadow. And now you're in a position where this lane is just doomed. You're going to lose this wave. It's not like you have a teleport anyways if you're Leza, right? So the wave's going to be able to crash in. You were already down when you lost both sums to the gank. It's just sad to see if you're Rainbow7.
What's also sad to see is the state of this mid lane. She is just throwing so many cards at Alone. He's sending him straight to the Shadow Realm. He already went back to base. He returned. He expended his teleport, and he's back down to 300 HP, chugging the Corrupting Potion like he hasn't had a drink in 3 weeks. The guy is trying to survive in this lane, but the natural disadvantage of melee versus range is setting him up for a pretty rough spot. Xie finds a stun underneath the turret, follows it up with the wild cards, takes the turret shot for the trouble, but he's willing to trade HP like that, considering his opponent is now below 200 rad.
And this has been a constant throughout the group stages for LGD. I know I mentioned the 42% forward percentage from Longxing, but there's also CA with 35% forward percent. Both of them are excelling amongst their, laners. And it's insane that LGD have had this insane amount of pressure consistently in their games, and obviously it amounts to some falling to pieces later on, but they're already in a really good position.
Yeah, really, really good position. Both of the solo lanes absolutely smashing the CS game, up about 10 each. Bottom lane is an advantage for Kramer and Mark, who, I mean, that's only the minor advantage there. The big thing is the fact that they were able to already grab that first blood kill not even 5 minutes into the game. The jungle is a farm advantage for Jose Dioto. That is the one role where we are seeing a better situation for the side of Rainbow7, but even though it's not reflected in his score, remember that Peanut's the reason that that kill on Ashe was able to happen. He's the one who his early gank made both summoner spells disappear, so the other 2 players on his team felt comfortable engaging shortly thereafter.
Yeah, and the only asterisk to all of these advantages is that Peanut's early pressure has amounted to him actually being down a level. So he's just going to be farming up a little bit more for his own camps. You would usually expect LGD, or at least a team with the advantage that they have, like BF sword to double long swords is just insane from the bot side, to be going for the early dragon. But they're just going to prioritize the experience on the jungler first before they go towards it. If he just decides to forego his own camps without taking Raptors, then Graves just pretty much snowballs. In fact, they're giving it to Peanut.
The greatest team play. Oh, if you're a jungler, that just feels fantastic. They made sure they facilitated giving him the extra mark. He also gets the EXP and the gold. Tristana was walking around that scuttle crab like an NPC in a quest game, just protecting it. And you had to manage to secure the scuttle crab before the bad guys got to it. Such good team play and looking out from the bottom lane of LGD, making sure Peanut doesn't fall too far behind here in this game. Hawkshot flies out, does see the Kindred hanging out there in the bottom side river. And with Jose Dioto on the opposite end of the map, you know that Leza and Shadow aren't going to be looking for a fight anytime soon.
Yeah, and it's a good time to do this because he cleared out his own Raptors. The only thing you'd have to be concerned about is the red buff being available, but you can trade sides since both reds are going to be up around up in tradable times.
Yeah.
You'll have the information to know if Graves is crossing through to their own red, and so can just trade. So like basically Kindred loses nearly nothing for this entire thing. So another positive here for LGD.
LGD getting that first Drake 7.5 minutes into the game, early enough to have a serious Dragon Soul threat if they can keep this up as we move forward. Looking at the top lane that we haven't talked here about a whole lot other than just the fun fact about Longxing's forward percentage. Tied up in farm now, but that is a big old wave that Ase is pushing forward. So that means that Longxing's numbers will be inflated here just a little bit. Should be able to farm up almost all of these underneath the turret. Not too much of an issue with that one. There you go. You can see the lightning just providing a little bit of extra damage to farm them all up there.
Yeah, and it's kind of pushing what is the intended goal of a Camille Galio comp further and further, because usually when you hit level 6, you get to a point where you feel like you can kind of pull Jose Dioto through mid if you are struggling for mid cryo. You can head top lane on a stacking wave, and it would usually be difficult for top side. Not only is it hard because TF has ulti, so he can follow, and you must kind of, and Longxing should be giving information to Peanut whenever he's afraid of a dive possibly happening. But also, CA is just getting a lot of help here, and has already been kind of pushing the matchup to its brink, and making it so alone can never really roam without losing 2 waves. So Rainbow7 are kind of pushing this until they, can only have team fights as an option to use their comp.
And you mentioned how LGD, they got gold leads all over the place in their group stage games, even if things didn't go that great for them, even if they had way more losses than both themselves and their fans would have expected. The early game execution and the way that they drafted to facilitate it did work out for them. But now we got the engage here in the mid lane. Follow-up coming through. Rainbow7 look for the kill onto Xie, who turns around, tosses him a card. Couple wild cards to follow that one up, but considering LGD's bringing the backup in, the play's not going anywhere else.
Yeah, just looking at the minimap, this is LGD's timer to get Rift Hurled. Honestly, I liked what Rainbow7 did because they weren't expecting to get a kill out of it, just trying to waste time from LGD. So now Ashe, who had a huge wave at her own turret, has now started to go to town on the bot lane turret plate. So I think Rainbow7 should concede the dragon, Rift Herald that is.
Oh.
Oh, here we go.
Field goal arrow, tries to fly through, doesn't really find a target. Shadow trying to get himself away, but now the engage coming in. Marks into the back line, still looking to make something happen. Here's the volley bear, has entered the fray, and alone is going to be in some trouble. Kill comes through, and Longxing takes it. Now looking to see if they can pick up anything else. Lamb's Respite will keep LGD safe. They pick up 1 kill. They manage to grab themselves the Rift Herald, and the fight is done.
Yeah, I didn't like the idea of Rainbow7 fully contesting that when they knew they were getting an advantage bot side. They could have actually all in towards it, but Jose Diodo catches him out.
Peanut jumping over that wall. Remember, no Lamb's Respite ready to go. Jose Diodo on the chase, giving him the thumbs up, but can he secure the kill? Auto attack, there's your damage, into the line, baby. Follow-up comes through, LGD. What in the hell are you guys doing? This is a little bit sloppy right about now. Over the wall goes Jose Diodo. Now he's going to find Kramer. Kramer stepping forward just a little bit more, but he's got to deal with the fact that he's outnumbered, outgunned. Flashes away. Ase can't quite follow him up there. LGD manages to get him out. Shie barely surviving there too. But a bit of an overstay, some greed. Mr. Razzleplasm from Peanut gets punished.
Yeah, strong punish from Jose Diodo. He was fairly certain that he had an intruder in his own grump. Finds Peanut, rallies the troops, and it turns into a pretty good chase now from Rainbow7. Of course, only allotted to 1 kill, but that's a flash down from Tristana. Shie is struggling a little bit there too now. So overall, great from Rainbow7 to make this game a little messy.
Yeah, and they're stopping that gold lead from ballooning up any further, right?
Yeah.
This gold lead has been slightly over 1,000 for over 6 minutes now. So even though Rainbow7 have fallen behind a little bit early here, they're not allowing their opponents to build up this early game empire that they'll have to contest once 15 or 20 minutes rolls around. However, talking about the next thing coming around here on Summoner's Rift, 30 seconds until second Drake shows up. Will be an Ocean. LGD already have that first Drake, which was an Infernal, in their possession. They look to be setting up around it here to go for that second one. They don't want to commit the sins that Vedia showed us a second time. They don't want to end up just getting control and then abandoning it. Shelly is summoned in the bottom lane. Will nearly take down this turret, but just gets it down to the last half of a plate. The turret itself still stands, which could be important if a fight breaks out here and Rainbow7 have to fall back to the safety of that structure. Longxing will try to push out as much of this wave as he can, rotate over to join up with the rest of the team. Peanut using the sweeper, trying to clear out some of the vision, make sure Rainbow7 is as uncomfortable with this fight as humanly possible. And they'll try to shove out the mid lane.
I'm not the biggest fan of the setup here from LGD because they did put Rift Trail down bot side and had their AD stuck with mid. In fact, Volibear was disconnected from the play and didn't want to move with the team. So that means that Rainbow7 can power through as a 4-man unit and just kind of sit within the line bush and force LGD to go through mid wave. If LGD goes through mid wave, then that's Rainbow7 having control on the objective first.
Yeah.
So I think overall, LGD did have the control. They should have been able to keep that control, but didn't use the Rift Trail as well as it could have been.
Leona ulti comes through, follow-up coming down. Here's Rainbow7 starting things off. Marked out at 200 HP, having to run himself out. First kill goes through, and Shie is down. Hextech ultimatum says, no, you don't. Get on back here. Longxing's down to 150 health, stuck inside the Lamb's Respite for now. Ase over the wall, trying to chase after this one. He's going to be stunned up, beaten down. Longxing putting the hurt on him, thrown up into the air. The follow-up is there, and the team works together wonderfully. LGD are caught off guard, and the engage from Rainbow7 wins the fight.
Another poor setup from LGD and a great capitalization from Rainbow7. They identified that the members from LGD weren't grouped up for the objective and took control. I really loved them just basically seizing control of mid lane wave and having members on the line bush just so anyone that would come through from LGD's side, they can pick them off, and they did just that.
Well done. I was a little worried at the start there. I saw the Leona ulti get fired off with no immediate follow-up. I was like, well, that was kind of weird. That felt a little solo queuey, but then the rest of the team realizes, wait, we got the tools for this, and it's a dog pile onto LGD to start things off here. Rainbow7 not going to just allow LGD to run away with this game. I love the fact this team's willing to strike back. And you said it during Champ Select, Raz, we want to see these teams really go for how they like to play the game in Game 1 of a series.
Yeah, and we talked about it when we got into the Champ Select of how many members in this team have a way to start a fight.
Yeah.
Bring him on back. And so when someone makes the call to go towards the Twisted Fate, everyone follows through. And no one on LGD's side are willing to take the fight because they're just simply not in position. So there we go. First fight of the game goes towards Rainbow7.
Good stuff. Looking at the itemization on Jose Dioto here on this Graves too. Serrated Dirk, second item in the inventory, should be going towards an Umbral Glaive with that one as his second item. So very effective on junglers, gives you so much extra vision control. And look at the armor on the enemy team. And by that, Raz, I mean there is no armor on the enemy team. Kindred, Twisted Fate, and Tristana will be very vulnerable to lethality-based builds. Yes, Longsheng has the cloth armor in inventory now, probably going for the Ninja Tabby. You also can see a little bit of armor on the Rakan, but the 3 big damage dealers will be super vulnerable to that. Jose Dioto on this Graves will have some big playmaking opportunities moving forward. And you can see LGD hanging out here in the mid lane, Peanuts over the wall, just chilling out, waiting for Rainbow7 to walk away. He can clear out that control ward now. The first Rift Herald of the game was taken down by the side of LGD, seeing if they could get anything with it. They were able to build themselves up some nice gold lead in the bottom lane there on the plates. But the next Rift Herald will be up very shortly, and it looks like we're going to get a fight for it.
Yeah, Rainbow7 want to get a fight, and here we go.
Nice shot coming out from Leza there, but now the real fight's going to be in the top side of the river. LGD could be in some danger, but they grab the kill into Jose Dioto. That's a big pick as the TP's coming through, but Ase's alone behind enemy lines. Volley's going to find the slow onto 4, but now the re-engage coming out from LGD. Ase is gone. Peanut finding the kill on that one. Shie continues the chase. Defensive ulti coming down from the Leona, and Rainbow7 throw them all into the grinder. LGD take the fight.
It wasn't the start of the fight that Rainbow7 should have set up for. What I was about to say is that, you know, Ase had TP advantage. Longsheng recognized that and started to move first. What Rainbow7 could have done is just keep Ase down bot side and look for the turret place on that one, or at least just look to take first turret down there. And then if they want to take a fight off the back of that, they can contest late, and they should be happier with that kind of way of the setup. You know, Volibear would fall behind, and you can kind of get Ase rolling in this game. Instead,
nope.
Didn't happen. Throw the Ash arrow straight down mid. People weren't even ready for the fight on the backhand on this. So I just want to see the beginning of it, because that's not where the Ash ulti went. They had different targets in mind here. So Mark was the idea for, you know, the Leona, and so the AD carry wasn't a part of it. It just was a disjointed engage from the team.
Did not work out the way they needed it to. Yeah, the arrow got Tristana's cleanse. Yes, Tristana's cleanse is on a longer cooldown than the arrow, but when a big payday type of ultimate like that just gets removed and has no effect in the fight becomes a lot trickier to conduct in a way that's advantageous to yourselves. 3,500 gold lead. Now, for LGD over their opponents, they have a 1-to-1 Drake count. Next Drake spawning in just over a minute here. But these executions here from both teams have been a little shaky so far. Seems like there's plenty of opportunity for either side to show that they have the edge in terms of how they're going to go about that execution. Mid lane, Shelly's summoned up. Should nearly be able to take down this turret. Arrow goes wide, won't find the Mark, but now the fight is breaking out off to the right here. Mark dashing away to the safety of his team. Shadow at half HP. Mid lane tier 1 turret of Rainbow7 nearly killed off. 30 seconds until the Drake spawns, and LGD once again have control over the river.
Yeah, good use of the Rift Herald, you know, just because they wanted to get control first, so just the natural point of Rainbow7 have to respond to it, even though the turret didn't go down itself. Seems like Rainbow7 are going to find an opposite play.
Okay, Rainbow7, they're deciding to go after Longsheng in the top side. Collateral damage over the wall. Graves is not even required, but he wanted to get the participation medal anyway. Meanwhile, back in mid, it's a 2v2 fight about to become a 3v3 fight. Shie with the gold card. There's your lockdown. There's your kill. Shie on a killing spree. With the Ash out of the picture, it's a 4-man push onto the tier 2. LGD see their opponents making moves on the other end of the map, and they are swift to respond.
Ooh, and that hurts. Because I liked what Rainbow7 did on the top side, trading away from Dragon, but seemed like Leza didn't think it was possible for them to dive straight through mid.
Nope. Well, he learned his lesson pretty quickly there, and now that Drake will go over to the side of LGD. Nobody from Rainbow7 is anywhere close enough on the map to try to contest this one. You can't even fire off a blind Ash arrow to see if maybe the AoE would blow up and steal it, which is super random to begin with, but Ash is still dead. Red team is slaying the dragon. The message on your screen right now. LGD up to a 2-to-1 lead in that department, nearly 5,000 gold ahead of their opponents. It doesn't feel like that big of a gold lead just because the fights have seemed so helter-skelter. Yeah. There's been some mechanical errors from both sides, but LGD's lead at 19 minutes in this game, Raz, is massive.
It's huge. And what they should do with it is kind of just continue to play by the book. At this stage, 4 minutes until the Mountain Dragon, what you can do is just play for top lane turret. I would like to see that. I mean, I think, yeah, Longsing does have to base here. But they're going to send TF Town topside, look to get that top lane turret, get vision control in the enemy's blue side jungle, and just play around Baron a little bit. They don't have to play for it, but at least get control of it as long as you can until Dragon's starting to spawn. Just get as much of control of the map as you can. As for Rainbow7, I mean, game hasn't been panning out all too well.
No.
But at least they can always just keep an eye out for any picks. For me, CA is a nice target. If you notice that CA and Peanut are not too close to each other when he's setting off for the top lane turret, you can fire off an arrow, have Camille start it off, and have Galio hover. Like, these are the things that you can look for within Rainbow7's composition. So it's not too far off here for Rainbow.
But the thing that you got to remember about Xie, though, the combination of a cleanse summoner spell that has been equipped thanks to the summoner spellbook. Remember, that is a teleport by default.
That's true.
The cleanse combined with an hourglass is such a pain in the butt. Like sitting down on a thumbtack. There's no way to actually catch the guy out, because even if you land the CC, he'll cleanse it and immediately buy 2.5 seconds. Meaning if you pick this Twisted Fate, he must be at least 2.5 seconds away from any help, or there's the potential for LGD to turn the fight around. And we know this team is perfectly comfortable jumping into a fight and seeing if they can outplay it. Next Drake not alive for 3 minutes. Baron is on the table, but oftentimes it is a little risky here, just 1.5 minutes after it has spawned. Looking at Kramer and Mark here in the mid lane. Summoner spells up and ready to go on that AD carry. Has 2 items fully completed already with that crit stat on them. Makes him very deadly. Mark gets caught out here a little bit, but dashes back to safety with a grand exit. Volley flies over the wall. Leza won't really find anything there. And although Rainbow7 sees this as an opportunity to move forward with one of Rakan's engage mechanisms down, it's not like they can give full chase.
Yeah, I think Rainbow7 are sending too many members up topside. Probably just banking on the fact that LGD don't know that Ase is coming in, just kind of hovering behind them. But it gives the timing for Volibear to push out through bot, and they found a play.
All right, the fight is starting off. Here they come. Longshin grabbing the kill onto Leza as Rainbow7 heads for the hills. A double kill over to the Bear, as now the Camille has arrived into the fight. Ase shows up, but it's too damn little, too damn late. The gold card says, how you doing, pal? Let me deal you in. Ase tries to run, but Longshin just beats him down.
Give him a big bite. I don't know how it started, but they certainly launched themselves into the fight when Ase went back to base so he could pick up the bot lane wave. And now with that huge dub from LGD, they can just go straight for Baron.
Dub so big, I had to teleport across the map to congratulate you on it, boss man. Baron going over to the side of LGD. Jose Diodo is still alive. He has summoner spells ready to go here. May look to try to steal this one away. Alone finds Xie. Peanut coming around from behind. Jose Diodo gonna get popped, gonna get rocked. Xie's on a rampage, and Alone is running away. He goes into the stasis. Not quite a super profitable one here just yet. Tries to maybe set up a kill onto the enemy Twisted Fate, but no, sir. Not at all. Alone is gone. Baron secured. LGD with a 10,000 gold lead.
Just clean from LGD. I mean, even the idea of a 50-50 was not going to be allowed to them. So I guess it was just seen here when they were starting to invade in the blue side jungle that they found a member. Leza just not having a good game so far. Gets blown up as the fights start in no man's land.
And then Ase, he arrives, man, his heart was in the right place, but his champion was in the middle of 5 enemy champions with no allies close. And that puts you back in the spawn platform the hard way. LGD in a really good spot to end this game before 30 minutes. I mean, I feel like they should just be able to brute force this one down. When you look at their composition, when you look at how they can just use Volibear to set up a dive, it's very, very scary now for Rainbow7. They must position well. They must use their CC properly to try to disengage and counterattack when LGD comes after him, because this is such a scary situation. Drake is alive in 10 seconds. A lot of times you'll see teams go after that and prioritize it, but it doesn't look like that's what's on LGD's mind. They just want to continue pushing towards these tier 2s. They're still standing in the top and bottom lanes, and usually when a team's this far ahead, Raz, and you have turrets standing outside the enemy base, that's just free money waiting to be picked up.
It is, and LGD is playing a patient game. They're not forcing anything on the bot side of the map. They recognize that Twisted Fate's going to pull at least somebody, and if he doesn't, then great, I'm going to take your inhib turret mid. Galio has to pick it up, and so at this point, it just seems like they're just trying to get as much gold as possible onto their members, so they can be as strong, for the next major objective. So they don't want to force too much. Most teams in the LPL would just, use the advantage through mid. If they see Galio match waves, then they'll just have Twisted Fate just go straight bot lane and have a 5v4, right? That's something that most teams would try and end the game instantly on. But LGD want to play the right way, quote unquote, and it's been working out so far.
Well, they've still got about 1 more minute left of this Baron power play. I do want to see them get a little bit aggressive with it, try to push up, try to really use the power of this gold lead. You're saying they want to pad their pockets. They want to build that economic advantage. It's already so much. 10,000 at 25 minutes is the kind of stuff that can get you into some major heavy lifting. As you can see, Longshing's in the bottom lane. He has no teleport. Volibear can't join up with the rest of the team. LGD need to be aware of this fact. Stun onto Alone, but the rest of the team can't follow up and actually go after a kill here. A lot of damage onto the turret from the Tristana E there. Explosive shot doing some good work as Rainbow7 comes around from the side. And for LGD, the thing that I always look for a team to do, Raz, when they get that first Baron, is to make sure they at least break one of the inhib turrets. Smash that line of defense, set yourself up to come back later more successfully. Force a fight in open ground, and that's what LGD did. They've opened that door, and now they're looking to take down the bottom lane tier 2 as well. A couple more seconds on that Baron buff. We'll make sure they're able to secure it. And there you go, 12,000 gold lead, 3 Drakes to 1. Enemy's base is exposed in the mid lane. That inhibitor is vulnerable. Pretty good game state for LGD.
Yeah, and if I'm just looking at the items, the biggest advantages very clearly is just through the carries of the team.
Yeah.
3 items completed from Tristana, just the 2.5, just counting the QSS from Ashe. Ashe is nowhere near close to this Tristana's damage. And then, of course, Galio really just has the essentials. He just needs the Zonias to start the fight. But at this point, especially now with the book being stacked up,
oh boy,
got that Majai's book. Xie is looking really good this game.
Xie is nearly full build. All he has to do is just get the other needlessly large rod, combine it together with shopkeeper magic to make a hat, and he's done. That's a very, very scary Twisted Fate. And it means that that point-and-click stun, you just got to be so respectful of it. Granted, I guess at least one of the saving graces here for Rainbow7 is that Xie is not going for the extra utility option of the rapid fire cannon, which can make Twisted Fate that much scarier. Yes, it's not the highest damage option in the world, but it gives you so much power to just engage whenever you want, make your opponent respect that much more. He doesn't have it this game, going for just more traditional AP itemization here. Kramer also sitting at 95% crit chance currently. 3 completed crit items plus an extra cape means almost every single shot is hitting so damn hard.
Yeah, and he's locked in that Zeal now, so he is ready to go. So for me, just going back to the CA item point, it kind of just showcases how LGD it imagines the game ending, right?
Yeah.
Keep Twisted Fate on side and just don't look to team fight. They can win through team fights. It's not to say that they won't, but they will always try and look for a numbers advantage, and so Twisted Fate being kept on side is what they want.
I love this. As soon as Longshing sees Ase walking over the wall, they're immediately using the Twisted Fate. Mark goes in! Wow. Ase goes down! LGD, they find their chance, and they immediately just jump on it. Double kill for Kramer. That's all she wrote.
That was fast. You try and set up a slow way to play the game out. One person just gets caught near Raptor camp, and now it's it.
That's done. I love how fast it was. As soon as the Camille is there, they use Twisted Fate, they find out where the rest of the team is lying in wait, and they seize the opportunity. Nexus turrets are gone. Lamb's Respite is down just to make sure nobody ints it a little bit there at the end, but hey, man, that was a pretty impressive one coming out from LGD. They will go up 1-0 in this series.
They look like they're ramping up, Cap. They look like they're getting stronger. A lot of the main points that we're still kind of zeroing in on are the objectives. Rainbow7 had a few moments that, you could pick apart that LGD kind of failed at, but at the end of the day, LGD just looked like better players. And on top of that, outside of the major objectives, LGD knew how to play the map. So I want to see Rainbow7 going into the next game, how they can kind of attack this, because just based off of all of the points that I'm just harping on,